this discussion does contain spoilers. M. Night Shyamalan burst on the scene with great success making spooky thrillers. Then he went on a downward spiral when he tried his hand at making comedies. But he had a great return to form with Split. Then he made Glass, which is a sequel to both Split and Unbreakable. The first hour was intriguing, but the payoff was a real disappointment, even if it had the occasional great moment and idea. But there was one thing that really bugged me about Glass, and that was Mr. Glass. Why does the movie and the characters in the movie act as if he has superpowers?
It is time to show the world what we are capable of.
He doesn't. In the Shyamalan cinematic universe, it seems that these powers come from the mind. Certainly with the Beast, this seems the case, and is basically what the old lady therapist's hypothesis was in the previous movie. And possibly this is the case with Bruce Willis's character. Maybe his trauma from almost being drowned as a kid is why water affects him. It also might explain why he didn't realise he had superpowers until he met Mr. Glass, because he had never believed he could have superhuman strength, and the only time he had pushed himself beyond regular human ability was in a car accident years ago when he pulled off a car door to save his girlfriend, which he was able to pass off as adrenaline or that the car door was weak in his crash. This idea is also implied by the surgery the Clover Society has. It's a lobotomy-like surgery on the brain which is designed to remove or suppress superpowers, implying that they're related to the brain. Then there was a flashback of when Mr. Glass was a kid. When it was happening, I was thinking that maybe this was showing his power, that his brittle bones were caused by his own mind, as a result of the fear of the ride, or his mother's overprotectiveness. Problem with that is that in Unbreakable, it's shown he had this problem at birth.
It appears that your baby has sustained some fractures while inside your uterus.
Although maybe the fear and terror of being born caused him to make his bones brittle. I don't remember how it was being born, so I can't personally attest to this being a thing. In Unbreakable, Mr. Glass's theory was that if there was someone so much more physically lacking than the average person as himself, there must be someone who's the opposite. Someone whose physical strength and toughness is far beyond that of a normal person. Someone who essentially has superpowers. Finding Bruce Willis meant there was a point to his struggles. They are opposites of each other. There is a reason to why he is like he is. He is the counterpart to Bruce Willis. Also, in that since Bruce Willis is a hero, he has to be the villain. There is no need for Mr. Glass to have superpowers, as many comic book characters do not possess superhuman ability at all, especially villains. Lex Luthor as a prime example.
And then there's the real threat, the brilliant and evil arch-enemy who fights the hero with his mind.
Mr. Glass doesn't necessarily need to have superpowers in order to have the plot make sense. He would still be at that institute for his crimes in Unbreakable. He could still be in that group session, since he was the guy who convinced Bruce Willis he had superpowers. He might be useful in convincing him that he actually doesn't. Even the surgery that is supposedly able to stop these superpowers can be written around. Either they were going to give him the surgery anyway because it still has some effect on normal people, or to make it seem more legitimate to the Horde and Bruce Willis. The other option was to rewrite it so that the surgery was being performed on the Horde. Then, thinking the surgery was a success, they relax security around him, and he doesn't transform because he thinks he can't, because he's cured. But then Mr. Glass reveals he swapped the lenses, then he transforms into the Beast and frees himself and Mr. Glass. That would make more sense than how Glass escapes in the movie. He just slits the orderly's throat like a badass, which he isn't. Even if he is played by Samuel L. Jackson, he's a severely crippled elderly man who's been wasting away pretending to be comatose for years. It also means you don't have to have security be as ridiculously light and incompetent as it is in the movie. Thanks for listening. If I can be bothered, next time I'll be talking about a little theory of mine regarding films adapted from books.